We'll see dry conditions overnight with low 40s into Thursday. Mainly dry, highs in the upper 40s. From the KIRO 7 Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Claire Anderson.
It is 51 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Ursula Royteen.
Listen on demand. Go to mynorthwest.com and click podcasts. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk. Powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio and streaming on Facebook Live. Welcome. Welcome to The Big Show. Yeah, I tell you what, there's so much in Ursula's newscast that I have to respond to. It's just, I tell you what, I hate politics with such a fiery passion. It's just hard to believe. And I have respect for, she said that Denny Heck, who's been for now, he's the Democrat from the Olympia area. And Denny Heck says that he is going to resign from Congress after this term. And the reason he cited, he said, the countless hours I have spent in the investigation of Russian election interference and the impeachment inquiry have rendered my soul weary. Which means he's one of the few politicians who still has a soul. You have to become a soulless human being to have any kind of success at the highest levels of politics. And I will say, a personal disclaimer, I believe my wife was a page in Olympia for Denny Heck in the late 70s. I think he went to the same high school as her down in Vancouver. Columbia River, go Chieftains. Wonder if they're still the Chieftains at Columbia. Will you look that up, Nicole? Or is that too politically incorrect, even for Vancouver, Washington, for Columbia River to still be the Chieftains? But, yeah, he said that he spent countless hours in the investigation of the Russian election, which, of course, turned out to be nothing. Nothing. Just like I don't understand how these people in the media, on CNN, on MSNBC, could spend thousands of hours talking about Russia and then find out that it was all a big hoax. I mean, it was a nothing. And so he said that, and then I feel the same way about this impeachment. This impeachment is insane. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Are they still the Chieftains?
You know what, they are, but it's because they voted in May of this year with a 79% in favor of keeping that term.
79%. Okay. All right. Go Chieftains. I can still say that about Columbia River High School in Vancouver. So I don't blame Denny Heck from stepping aside. And let me illustrate my point here. You got people like, one of the leading figures in the impeachment of Trump is Gerald Nadler. And Gerald Nadler, now you want an example of how absolutely soul dead a human being can possibly be? Because there are some of us who are consistent. I was against the impeachment of Bill Clinton because I thought it was a partisan witch hunt. I am against the impeachment of Donald Trump for the same reason. It's a partisan witch hunt. We're going to have an election in a few months. If these people would do their job instead of just trying to exercise their bile that has consumed their souls, then maybe stuff could get done in this country. But instead, it is just these two warring factions, whether it was the Republicans with Clinton or the Democrats with Trump now. We have nothing but two warring factions. And let me illustrate this. So Gerald Nadler is leading the charge in the impeachment of Trump. The vote yesterday was strictly along partisan lines. Democrats said, yeah, let's impeach him. Republicans said no. It'll be the same way in the Senate, so you know this is going to go nowhere. Well, back when Gerald Nadler was upset at impeachment proceedings against Bill Clinton. Here's what he said.
The effect of impeachment is to overturn the popular will of the voters as expressed in a national election. We must not overturn an election and remove a president from office except to defend our very system of government or our constitutional liberties against a dire threat. And we must not do so without an overwhelming consensus of the American people and of their representatives in Congress of the absolute necessity. There must never be a narrowly voted impeachment or an impeachment substantially supported by one of our major political parties and largely opposed by the other.
Okay, that was in 1998 when the Republicans were going after Bill Clinton. There should never be a narrowly decided impeachment. It should never be just one party going after it. It has to be such grave transgressions that everybody recognizes it. So here you have Gerald Nadler. What a soul-sucked dog this guy is. So now today he's leading the charge, doing exactly what he railed against 21 years ago. And that's where I say, to succeed with any longevity at the highest level of politics, you must become a soulless human. Because these impeachment proceedings are ridiculous. We're going to have an election in 11 months. The people will decide who they want as their president. I mean, go ahead with the impeachment. It's only helping Trump, especially in those battleground states. But Gerald Nadler, I just proved what a hypocritical skunk a guy like that is. Whatever happened to people who just had the courage of their convictions, and that was the kind of person that would get elected and they would stay unchanged through the horrible process that is politics? I mean, it's possible for some of us. I might be one of the few people in the media who's been doing it this long who is against the Clinton impeachment and against the Trump impeachment, because I think a lot of Americans have taken their cues from these soulless devils that are in Congress these days. And, frankly, on CNN, MSNBC, they're soulless human beings. And it consumes their world. I don't think about this stuff after 3 o'clock. It's not my world. But I'll stay consistent. I'm not gonna be for the impeachment of one and against for the other. What Clinton did was worse, was more impeachable. I was still against it. And while I'm talking about Trump, let's play the audio. He was at this NATO summit, and they had a thing at Buckingham Palace, and Justin Trudeau, he was on a hot mic talking to a couple of other world leaders, President of France, not remember who the third was. But the three of them were sniping about Donald Trump. It's hard to hear on the hot mic. Yeah, it's hard to understand what they're saying, but and some of it nobody could understand. But Trudeau's complaining because Trump had a 2-hour press conference that delayed everything by 45 minutes yesterday. And, of course, the reason is Trump's the only one the press wants to talk to because he says outrageous things. And so then somebody asked Trump about Trudeau and the other world leaders sniping about him.
Well, he's two-faced.
Do you think that Germany is too naive?
And honestly, with Trudeau, he's a nice guy. I find him to be a very nice guy. But
by the way, Trudeau is two-faced. He's got his white face and he's got his black face. He's proven that.
You know, the truth is that I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%, and I guess he's not very happy about it. I mean, you were there, a couple of you were there, and he's not paying 2%, and he should be paying 2%. It's Canada, they have money, and they should be paying 2%. So I called him out on that, and I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but that's the way it is. Look, I'm representing the U.S. and he should be paying more than he's paying, and he understands that. So I can imagine he's not that happy, but that's the way it is.
Okay, and Justin Trudeau was asked about sniping about Trump.
Last night I made a reference to the fact that there was an unscheduled press conference before my meeting with President Trump, and I was happy to take part of it, but it was certainly notable. And I've had a number of good conversations with the president over the course of this day and yesterday.
Okay, I mean, it's like middle school. You know, a clique of three are complaining about the other one, and it's just everything about this whole world of politics is just absolutely nauseating. Okay, and then there was one other thing that was in Ursula's newscast. She was talking about how Jay Inslee is, he really wants kids to not vape, and he wants to keep them away from nicotine.
It should not be anyone's business model in the state of Washington to addict our children to nicotine. And that's basically what we're talking about here.
Okay, yeah, we don't want kids addicted to nicotine. But if you're a responsible human being, Jay Inslee, we wouldn't want our kids smoking a lot of weed either. Because it's not good for people. I know that there are a lot of people who swear by it, but it's not good. It does deaden part of your drive, and there are exceptions. If you're a weed smoker who's just got a fire in your belly, you're part of the exception. But I know what it's doing in our schools. Kids with the weed and the growing acceptance of it. And when you got Jay Inslee himself, who rails about kids and nicotine, but goes on national TV and says,
"We got the best weed in the United States."
Yeah, oh yeah, we got good weed in Washington. So here you have a governor, and look, I think cigarettes are worse than marijuana. But I don't think kids should be using either product. And when you have a governor who's railing about kids and nicotine, but praising our weed in our state, it's hard to take Jay Inslee seriously. But, you know, he's just struggling to find any reason that he still wants to be governor. Jay Inslee really thought that he was still going to be a legitimate candidate for president. And that flamed out. In fact, I got some more stuff to say about Inslee. Let's get to the big lead.
The big lead. Top story.
So I was talking yesterday about the King County Courthouse and the 3rd Avenue entrance that those of us who have served on jury duty, as I did this summer for one day, but that was how I got in to the courthouse. You go in, there are lockers if you want to check a gun. There's a metal detector, a bag scanner like TSA has to make sure people aren't bringing weapons into the courthouse. But, you know, they've got it all set up there on 3rd Avenue. But last week, a defense attorney was attacked and when a bus driver by just a random guy who moved up here from Georgia because this is the easiest place in the country to be a street addict vagrant. And so this defense attorney randomly gets attacked, and then a bus driver tried coming to his aid, and the bus driver got even more violently attacked. So what's the solution? You know, I said yesterday that I'm not going to exaggerate and say it's a third world country there on 3rd Avenue outside of the courthouse, but it ain't a first world block. There were people screaming. There were people over the hoods of cop cars when I went in at 8:30 in the morning to serve on jury duty. There was people, zombies, walking around when I was trying to get on my lunch break. So what's our solution? Well, we're just going to close the 3rd Avenue entrance to the courthouse, and everybody's going to have to go up and use the 4th Avenue entrance. They're going to have to move the security scanners and the metal detectors and the lockers up to this 4th Avenue entrance because we just run scared around here. And I mentioned yesterday, if you're a normal human being, your reaction would be, well, let's clean up the street. Let's lock up the criminals. Let's lock up the drug dealers. Let's provide mental health services to everybody who needs that. Let's provide drug and alcohol treatment to everybody who wants that. And if they don't want it, let's lock them up. And let's take the street back. That's what a normal person would do. We don't have any normal people in politics around here. So their answer is, let's run away. Let's just lock up 3rd Avenue. There are businesses right across the street from the courthouse where you can go to get lunch if you work at the courthouse or serving on jury duty. They can't lock their doors. They don't have that option. So they've still got this second world country outside of their businesses. Now all of their prospective customers are getting moved a long block away. Presiding Judge Jim Rogers said that judges have simply had enough.
I came in on Monday morning, yesterday, to a small rebellion by my group of judges. Right now, people won't come to court. Juries refuse to serve. People are afraid to get justice.
I tell you what, I will never serve jury duty again after this summer. Never. Never. Whatever the consequences. I'm not going back down there. If for something that I don't need to go down for. And he says that they're trying to get the city to help.
The city of Seattle really needs to help with this because this is their jurisdiction, and they need to be able to bring police down here on 3rd Avenue to help with the security.
So yeah, where are all our politicians? Where's Jenny Durkin? I heard she's in Hawaii right now. A listener says they saw her at a fabulous oceanfront resort. But where's Jenny Durkin? What a zero she is. It's the King County Courthouse. Where's Dow Constantine? Oh, yeah, Dow doesn't have to worry about security. He has 3 full-time sheriff's personnel assigned to him who carry guns, who drive him around. So we pay about $400,000 a year so Dow Constantine can be safe. But jurors, attorneys, judges, no, they can't be safe. Dow is royalty. Dow's far more important. Where's Dow? Why haven't we heard one word from him about closing down an entire block entrance of the King County Courthouse? And where's Jay Inslee? As Seattle's going to rot, the biggest city in the biggest county in the state, where's our governor? We've never heard one word about Inslee. He's trying to keep kids off of nicotine. But he doesn't care that he's got, no longer has a first world city in parts of downtown Seattle. Our politicians are nothing but a big bag of losers around here. And this is the end result. And that is your big lead.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
Hey, Ursula, let's go to check the news. And then I got to talk to this guy. A writer for The Stranger says about that deadly Aurora Avenue crash where 2 people were killed, others injured. The driver, a 23-year-old woman, was high on meth. She said she just closed her eyes and gunned her car and wanted to crash it. A writer for The Stranger says she has no blame in this crash. I'll try to make sense as I talk to him next on the Dori Monson Show.
This hour of the Dori Monson Show is